A lot of microbrands come and go in my household, but it never ceases to amaze me what these passionate people manage to come up with. It's clearly not about making a ton of cash, since this is not how you would do that. It's all about passion, and the vast majority of brand owners I have spoken to still work either full-time or part-time to support their passion. So this is something to keep in mind when we judge excellent product microbrands for the pricing they set. Unpacking the latest offering in the HGN Hang series, it's a bit of a wow once again. There are of course obvious influences looking at the bezel and integrated bracelet, but these dials are really attractive, and there's an interesting non-banal story behind them which is always commendable. I have the dial that's made of brass with me today, but look out for a copper one and even a copper sprinkled with gold leaf. I'm a big fan of the dial with one small exception which I'll cover today. I want to get pricing out of the way straight up, since if you're like me and tend to get all excited only to reach the end of the video or article only to find out an out of reach price, then let me save you that unpleasant experience. It will launch on Kickstarter at 20% off, so $533. Some quick maths means that even the final retail price of $667 is quite reasonable. Worth noting is that this is not the brand's first release, which bodes well for a successful campaign. We've only discussed the look so far, so stay with me and let's get stuck into the specs. With these integrated bracelet designs, the sizing gets real important real quick. We have a 40mm diameter and about 45 lug to lug. Lug width is a slightly misleading measurement here on these integrated lugs, but it's 27mm. It's 10.6mm thick, and we get a water resistance of 100 meters. The dial is obviously a large point of interest, and this brass one looks like something that's been recovered from something abandoned in the forest or perhaps even the ocean. Whilst it's really interesting to inspect it up close, it's worth thinking about the fact that it's basically just a textured green dial from a distance. To create these dials, Japanese craftsmen were engaged in Takaoka City, a town with over 400 years of traditional craftsmanship and the birthplace of advanced casting techniques. They use chemicals and flame to produce vivid colors, and has succeeded in coloring thin copper shades of less than 1mm. The result to my eyes is something between an oil slick and steel left out in nature. It's quite beautiful against the surrounding of perfect stainless steel. The applied indices are all of very high quality, and I quite like the semi-skeletonized hands too with their loom inset. I could do without the dated 6, but that's something that I know at least half of you prefer, so it's just a personal preference. My only issue with this watch is some of the print. I don't mean the applied logo and the brand name at 12. That's again nicely handled, and I think the slightly futuristic typeface is okay. It's the text at just above the 6. It looks like something out of a Word document, and using a capital on Ori but not the model name doesn't work for me. It's a small detail, but I expressed this to Thomas and he told me to shut up and go away. No, he didn't, but he said he would have a think about it. The tiny little elephant in the room is the fixed bezel that is really quite reminiscent of the Vacheron Constantin overseas. I have no issues with that. It's a super cool approach and it looks brilliant. You will have dirt and dust get lodged here, so that's one thing to keep in mind, but it's worth it to me anyway. It fills no function really other than looking good, and that it does. It does hold in place the sapphire crystal with AR coating, where the number of layers is not detailed on the specs list, but it performs very well. The unprotected screw-down crown is signed and very easy to grip. I think it's perfect, and having it sit against the intelligent approach of brushed case sides looks great. This is a nice case full of brushed and polished details, and considering this is a prototype, I'm incredibly impressed with how well it flows into this excellent bracelet. It's absolutely seamless, and the brushed links and chamfered polished edges are really good. It's got screw links, so it's easy to adjust yourself, and whilst the scissor clasp usually means you have no micro adjust, there is a half link, and I managed the perfect fit for myself at least. As per all these integrated designs, it wears quite wide, but having it taper all the way down to 18mm is an excellent way to slim it down a bit. The logo and word mark on the clasp is not a surprise, but it looks good all the same. On the back of the watch, we get a good look at the Miyota 9015. It's a free spinning movement that tends to wobble away a bit on your wrist at sudden movements. The 42-hour power reserve is good, and using this movement means that the watch can be slim, which I think is important. Whilst it's not super exciting to look at, it's a solid choice that is always fun to glance at every now and then. And I personally like the proud mention of Hong Kong on the back with the logo, since why hide where the watch was conceived and planned? It's an awesome place, and Thomas should be proud of his work here. Again, on a prototype, you'd not expect great lume, but this is the exception. I'm curious to hear what you think today. I'm quite taken with it myself, and I truly hope that this is a successful campaign. Sure, there are some borrowed elements to the overall case design, and it's yet another integrated lugs piece which reduces your options if you're not a bracelet person. But it sure is a very attractive and well sorted watch that looks as good on pictures as it does in person. I'm leaning towards the bluish one myself, but this is a lovely warm green color that photographs well in my usual forest setting. Thomas mentioned that he has been hesitant in the past to send his watches to YouTube reviewers since he was not 100% happy with his models to date. So this is a big step for him, and I for one want to commend him on his courage to send his babies out in the world. I will link up the campaign in the description, and do leave a comment as well with your feedback. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.